So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Hope that you are all doing well and staying safe. Here is Mariam Shreif, a senior petroleum engineering student at the Lebanese American University. So, on behalf of Pietro, SP Egypt section, and Arab Guru, I would like to welcome you all to today's webinar, which will be about how to improve your resume and online presence. And it will be presented by a distinctive speaker, and I'm sure that his participation will benefit all attendees. So let me begin by introducing our guest speaker for today, Engineer Pietro Galli. So when he first started looking for a job a few years ago, it was not easy for him. He was ignored and rejected several times. But failure after failure, he studied the process and he was able to develop a method to maximize chances of landing a job. And as a result, he got hired by companies like Ferrari and General Electric. Currently, Engineer Galli is a mechanical engineer at Baker Hughes, and today he'll be sharing with you some tips and tips which will help you enhance your resume, and that will increase your chances of landing a job interview. So, welcome, Engineer Galli, and we're excited to hear from you today. And
Mariam.
as, and as a reminder, before proceeding with the session, you can drop your questions in the Q&A section. And you can subscribe to the Tales of Startup YouTube channel for more informative videos about how to build your resume and cover letter and many more. So hope you guys enjoy the webinar today, and Engineer Gali, the mic is yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Mariam. Thank you for the introduction. And hello to everyone who's joining and everyone who will see this video afterwards. I know that it's a little bit late over Europe and Middle East and Asia is very late over there. So thank you for the one who are joining live. And again, thank you for everyone who will watch this later. As Mariam said, my name is Pietro. I am a mechanical engineer. Right now I'm working for Baker Hughes, and I worked for Ferrari, and I was hired by GE. And in the course of this year, I helped many other fresh graduates landing their first jobs and boosting up their career after a few years as well. So I'm super excited to be here with you today. So what are we gonna do right now is we are going to see how you can improve your resume and your online presence. I am very, very excited because this is not going to be just one session. We're going to have multiple sessions and we're going to cover the whole process. So right now it's going to be resume and online presence, our first very important step. In our next resume, we're going to cover all of the interview process. Which question do I need to prepare? How do I need to structure an answer to the question? How should I behave and how should I handle virtual interviews and also group interviews? Because right now with COVID, everything is virtual, but we are going to be back to normality, hopefully very soon, and group interviews will become a thing again. And in our third resume, in a couple of weeks from now, we're going to have a Q&A session with you. And we're gonna go through some of your resume. We're gonna analyze them. We're gonna go through your questions, and it's gonna be super fun. So I'm very, very excited and to get started with you today. All right. I guess the first very important question is why? I mean, why do we need to go through all of this trouble? We spent years studying, preparing, facing difficulty, exam after exam. And finally, when we finally got our degree, we discovered that this is just the start. We have all another job to do in order to land a job. So we need to prepare a beautiful resume. We need to boost and getting as effective as possible our presence online. We need to be prepared to the interview question. We need to study the companies that might be a good fit for us. So why do we need to go through all of this after we struggled so much to get our degrees? And the sad and straightforward answer is that, especially right now, our degree is not enough anymore. Once upon a time, I remember that's probably our parents' generation. If you had a degree, especially if you had a very technical degree, petroleum engineer, mechanical engineer, geophysicist, geology, everything that's very technical, you would have had a job immediately, no matter what. There were hundreds of companies knocking on your door right the day after you got your degree. Right now, what happened? Many more people are graduating. We have a lot of skilled workforce, so the offer is very high, but at the same time, the demand is quite constant, and sometimes, as we experienced last year, because of other things like COVID, or could be a downturn in the economy, something that happened cyclically in the economy, the demand for this skilled workforce is either constant or can even go down. So more offer, less demand, equal fierce competition. So that's why we need to optimize our chances to get a job, because our competition is very high. So the first step after getting a good degree, something that all of you have already done or you are in the process of doing. So the first step after that is to have a very good resume, have a very good story about ourselves, and having a very good online presence in order to let the companies know that we do exist, that we are skilled, that we are willing to start our journey in the real job industry, and we're ready to go. So how can we do that? How can we optimize? Let me go through an example. This is the same person, and the content of the resume is more or less the same. Now, on your left, you have a typical fresh graduate resume. Very poor, let's say, design, just few informations, educations before everything, then something on the internship experience, pretty not effective. On the right, you have the resume with the same content. We have the same person with the same experience, but with a much better marketing. And by the way, marketing, that's a word that you will hear me saying many times throughout this session. So now imagine that you are someone who's working in HR, in human resource. Your job is to find the next good candidate to fulfill a position. Now you're gonna see the resume on your left, and then you're gonna have the resume on your right, and then you're gonna have a pile of 100, 200, 300 other resumes that almost look like the one on your left. You have a very limited time to go through an almost unlimited number of resumes. So you want to have something, you want to see something that catches your attention immediately, and that gives you immediately these 2 or 3 things that you are looking for. So you're going to skip through the resume on your left because it looks like every other one. So, okay, you need someone who's good in petroleum engineer. Okay, I don't even see this immediately. You see in the first resume. In the second one, bam, okay, it has a visual effect, so it catches my attention. Let me go through. What does this person do? Bam, immediately. You see here, okay, she is a petroleum geophysicist. Okay, and then you go through and you read through, and you immediately get highlighted the most important thing of what this person has achieved and what this person does. And now, and again, so very much important, the resume is just a marketing document. So let me go back to the resume. You see here, how many pages? Just one. It has to be short. We need to sell ourselves, and all of the purpose of this marketing document that we are going to call CV or resume is to take us from our house and land us a job interview. Nothing more, nothing less. It's not a collection of all of our achievement. It is not the story of our life. It is a marketing document that needs to trigger the attention and the curiosity of who's reading so much that they will want to know more about us. Let me give you this example. Let's assume that I want to sell this phone. Okay, I can do two different things. First thing that I can do, I can create a long document where I list all of the characteristics of this phone. And it's going to be a very long document because I'm going to list everything that this cell phone can do. Another thing that I can do is I can just take one characteristic, just one. I can study what my audience wants, and I can understand which one is the characteristic of this phone that might interest it the most to my audience. So my audience will be interested to one characteristic more than the others. Which one is? And I can then create an advertising just based on that characteristics. So option number one, list of all of the characteristics. We have a document with all of the characteristics of this phone, which is called the instruction booklet, a collection of everything that this phone do and can do. How many phones have been sold thanks to the instruction booklet? 0. The other one is I take a characteristic. So for example, if you think about the Apple, the last advertising from Apple, they have chosen privacy. So many of the advertising from Apple are about privacy. Just one characteristic. This phone does, a lot of other things, among which, calling people. But they chosen that characteristics because they have studied and that they have decided that that is what their audience is much more interested in. So for example, if you think about the Google Pixel, all of their advertisings are focused on how good the camera is and how beautiful the pictures are. Just one characteristic, enough to trigger the attention, and boom, buyers are coming. We are going to do the same thing. We are going to select which are the characteristics, the skills, the experiences that are more and most significant to our audience, to the companies, to the people who are going to read our resume, and we are going to put them in our CV in an effective visual way. And that's how we're going to trigger the attention and curiosity. So next slide is going to be very important. This is the resume building process. This is the framework that we are going to use to create and craft a good resume. And the same process is going to be applied to optimize our LinkedIn presence. So step number one, we're going to ask ourselves, what does my audience want? In our case, who's our audience? The companies that will hire us. What do this company want? Second, what do I have? What are the characteristics that make me a potential good employee? Third and final step, we're going to build our resume and we're going to cross-reference what the companies want with what we can offer, and we're going to market that in a compelling way. First thing, how can we understand what the companies want? We're gonna use three main things. First and most important, job descriptions. So we're gonna go to many different websites. We're gonna download and we're gonna study as many job descriptions as possible, and we will going to see which are the characteristics that are required across the board by many companies. So which are the skills that are most important? We're going to do the same, and we're going to go through the company websites. We're going to understand, okay, what does this company want? What is the main business of this company? And another thing that we're going to do, we are going to connect with people. And that's why LinkedIn, and we're going to talk about that in a second, is going to be a super powerful weapon that you can have. Connecting to people, asking what is a day in their life, how is the work, and what the company cares about the most. Okay, so we're going to see, we're going to have everything that the companies want. Then we're going to ask ourselves, what do I have? What is my course of study? What did I learn in my journey through the university? Which are the main projects and the main exams that I have done that might be useful and might match the requirements from the company? And last but not least, what are the most important job experiences that I had? Can be an internship, can be summer job, can be a real job, a full-time role. Then we're going to put these two things together, what the company wants and what we have to offer, and we are going to create a resume using the 4 golden rules of a well-done resume. Let's see how a well-done resume looks like. But this is a very, very important framework. Please make sure we're going to break down the process. We're going to see all of the different websites, all of the different tricks that we can use. But this is the process. We want to see what they want. We want to tell them that we have something that they want. And we want to tell this to them in a compelling and effective way. And guess what? When we're going to see how to interact and how to ace a job interview, we're going to do a process that is very, very similar to this. Okay, let's see an effective resume. This is my resume. It's not updated actually, but it gives you the idea. Oh, and by the way, you have a chat box here. If at any point you have some questions about something that I said, something that would like to go more in deep and understand a little bit better, feel free to ask any question. I'm gonna stop probably after the resume before starting with LinkedIn. We're gonna go through some question, and then at the end, we're gonna go through some questions as well. So please feel free to use the chat for anything that you might need. Perfect. So there are 4 points and 4 principles that we can apply to create a very good resume. First, and most important one, it has to be short. Short. It means 1 page. Nothing more, nothing less. If you Google Elon Musk resume, you will find Elon Musk's resume, which is 1 page long. Now, we're talking about a guy who almost revolutionized the world. Okay, he almost created PayPal. He acquired and created Tesla, as we know, SpaceX, the Hyperloop, and so on and so forth. If he can sum up all of his career in 1 page, I guess that we might be able to do the same. I don't think that we achieved more than Elon Musk. So 1 page is possible. And again, studying what the companies want will allow us just to choose the very, very best of our experience to put in our resume in just 1 page. Number 2, it has to be clear. Now, what I mean by clear? Clear, I don't just refer to how readable a resume is. By clear, I mean that in 1 second, the person who's looking at your resume needs to be able to understand what is your job qualification. What is that you do? How? Here, right under the name, big under the name, Operation Management Engineer. If you look back to the resume that I show you of the student before, you would see big right under the name, petroleum geophysicist. Okay, so the qualification big under the name. And that's very important because the first person who's going to go through your resume, he or she is probably just an intern. He's just there for an internship in a company. And you know, this person just know that they have to look for certain qualification, certain job description. So it's very important to give these people an easy to read and unmistakable indication of what we do. Bam, we are the right person for this job because this is our qualification. So one page, clear. This is the third one, is very important, and it's the hardest one to make, not just for fresh graduate, but for everyone. Number 3 is numerical results. Why numerical results are so important? Numbers are very important because they can convey immediately the sense of what you have achieved. Okay, so we are going to do, and you will have to do as well, a very interesting job in understanding which are the numerical results of the internship, the projects, the exams, anything that you have done, and try to put as many numerical results as possible. Why? Because I can understand the number in no time. For example, instead of saying, let's take a look at this, the last experience in my resume. Instead of saying what a sourcing commodity manager does, I put the results. Managed a global RFQ saving $250,000. Now, you might not know what a sourcing commodity manager does. You might not even know what an RFQ is, but anyone would understand saving $200,000. Yeah. $250,000, sorry. Okay, so anyone would understand the number, the magnitude. So reduce the defects by 80%. That's another number. Very easy to understand. So if you think about your projects, your internship, you probably have analyzed multiple things. You probably have gone through different solutions, chosen one, and achieved a certain result. Please think about that and make sure to put some numbers into your resume. I know that for fresh graduates, that's very hard to do. So I don't expect your resume to be filled by numerical results. But if you can just, if you can just find 2 or 3 interesting ones, that would boost you very much, because I can assure you, everyone who will look at this resume will go and they will do a resume that is short, that is clear, that is understandable by non-technical people, but very, very, very few people will be able to introduce effectively some numerical results. So take your time to think about it. And if you have any questions on that, we can connect on LinkedIn and we can look at your specific cases because this is very important. Okay, 4 and final part and final principle, it has to be non-technical. So what do I mean by non-technical? I mean that the average person needs to be able to read through your resume and understand something, or at least being interested by what they read. So for example, this project manager, gas turbine supply chain process design. Okay, I just named it, gas turbine. I didn't put the actual name, PGT, blah, blah, blah. I just put the generic name, gas turbine. Everyone can understand that. Then going back, for example, global raw material RFQ. Okay, this is something a little bit more technical. As I mentioned before, someone might not know what an RFQ is, even though it's a pretty common acronym in the industry. But even if they don't understand that, as I mentioned before, they will understand the numerical results. So the less numerical results you have, the less technical you need to be. It needs to be very easy to understand. Anyone needs to be able to read through that and be impressed by what you have achieved and what you have done. And these are the 4 principles. Now, we're going to use these 2 principles to create 2 different resumes. We're going to create resume number 1, visual resume, we are going to use this, let me tell you, 99.9% of the time. This is, very, very beautiful one, effective, catchy for the eye. But then I would also like you to have a Word resume, which is this one here, in case you will have to apply for some specific companies. We're going to talk about that. So this resume abide to the same 4 principles. It's short, 1 page, it's clear. So your qualification here, right under your name, it contains, and it's filled by numerical results, and it's pretty much understandable by non-technical people. What is the difference? The difference is that this is in Word format. Why? Because there are some companies that have a system that is called ATS, Applicant Tracking System. Essentially, that is an artificial intelligence, that is a computer that is gonna scan your resume looking for some keywords and some pieces of information, and it will automatically decide if your resume is approved or is rejected. Those machines, most of the time, are deal very well with Word format documents, not so well with PDF, and absolutely zero with JPEG or pictures, So just in that case, I would like you to have a resume like this, where the only thing that changes is this first section. You could do 2 different things here. You could either put an amount of keywords that the computer will skim and will read, or you could do even a better thing, which is writing a short description of yourself, similar to the one that we will see that you will write for your LinkedIn profile, highlighting some of the key aspects, some of the keywords, and you will put everything here. So 2 different resumes, the Word resume for ATS and the normal visual resume for all of the other times. Now, the question might be, Pietro, how can I know when to use a visual resume and when I need to send a Word resume? It's pretty easy, because as I told you, 90% of the time, the visual resume will do. In those particular cases, it will be in the job description. You will be asked something like, please submit your resume in Word format. Or you can just ask Google. So you can just Google, does this company have an ATS system? If they do, okay, then let's submit this other resume. But as I told you, 90% of the time, visual resume. Now, we know the process, how to create the resume. We're going to see what the company wants, what we have to offer. We're going to cross-reference the 2. We're going to create an effective visual resume with our 4 principles. But how can I actually physically create the resume? Do I have some tools that might help me? Yes, we do. First one is Canva, canva.com. It has a lot of free templates. It's not 100% customizable, but it is a very, very interesting starting point, even just to go there and take a look of all of the visual resumes and visual templates that do exist to, steal a little bit, or let's say get inspired for our resumes. Another tool that we can use is websites like myperfectresume.com. It has a lot of templates. It's not for free. It's we need to pay for these templates, but it's super fast. Essentially, you just type in the information, and the website will create a visual resume for you. It is not 100% customizable. I think that some of you have used it. I've seen some templates that reminds me of similar websites. So I think that some of you are aware of this. And it can be a good alternative. Last but not least, you can use my templates. It's something that I would give you, it's my gift for you. I would give you for free. These are PowerPoint templates, so they are 100% customizable. They are for free because I'm gonna give it to you. It's not many templates. Probably it's like 6, 7 templates, but it's, I would say, more than enough to create a good resume. How can you get these templates? 2 ways. First thing, I left some links in the chat. So you can either add me on LinkedIn and ask me the template, and I will give it to you. Or you can join our Facebook group, which is called Love This Job, and I will post the resume templates there. And it's also going to be very helpful for you to join that group, because we're going to have a lot of discussions on job interview questions and preparation. So a thing that I would like to do is, anytime that someone gets interviewed, this person can put and write the questions that he or she was asked, so that we can all know which are the most common questions, and we can all study and understand which could be the best answer to those questions. So we can do all of that in the Facebook group. Very well. This is 3 interesting way for you to get easy access to very good resume templates. Very well. Now, let me know if you have any question. Let's see if we want to go through some questions before moving on to LinkedIn. And one thing, the resume contest is still open. I received many resumes from you, but I would like to keep it open for other couple of days, 2-3 days. So on my YouTube, on our Facebook group, you will see the invitation, to send me your resume. Essentially, add me on LinkedIn, send me your resume, and I will randomly select one of you, and I will personally get together with this person and completely redo his or her CV. I just want to give you guys a couple of more days to collect some more resume. I mentioned that we are going to have some live sessions, some Q&A sessions coming up. All of the resumes that will not win, no problem, because I will analyze those resumes during our live sessions. So even if you do not get a personal one-on-one session with me, you're going to have your resume analyzed, and you can make the changes and improve that very well. All right. Let me just take a look if we have. Mariam, do we have some questions so far?
Yes, we have, but do you prefer to answer them at the end or now?
If they are, maybe we can take a couple of them right now, and then we can go through the rest of the presentation. So yeah, just a couple of them if you.
Okay, sure. So the first question is that how to fill a gap that was due to pursuing a PhD program that you finally couldn't finish and get the degree in a resume.
That's a very nice question. Very interesting. So, okay, you have done something. Okay, and probably if you didn't finish your PhD, there was a reason as well. Okay, and this can be something that you can explore with the interviewer during the interview. What we can do in the resume is actually putting that you were pursuing your PhD. So even though you haven't finished that yet, or you dropped out of it, you have still done something in that period. So I would tackle this problem in either one of these 2 ways. Either you just write, that you were pursuing the PhD with some key information, or if your PhD was particularly practical, let's see, so you have a lot of projects, Maybe you dealt with some companies, you had some projects sponsored by company. You know, if it was practical, I would just I would say that you were pursuing your PhD, and I would highlight the research that you were doing and the projects that you have done, especially if that research and if that project might be helpful and in line with what the companies that you would like to apply for require. So you were doing something, you didn't, you weren't wasting your time. You have learned something. Feel free to put what you have learned, even though you don't have the degree. Then during the interview, if the interviewer goes to your PhD and asks you, okay, I see that you were enrolled for a PhD, but you didn't complete it. Why? Then you can explain what happened, but you can also highlight all of the skills that you have learned thanks to that experience. I hope that helps.
Yes, great. And we have a second question also. Is it a necessity to put your picture on any resume, or that should be done only if required by the company you're applying for?
That's a super interesting question. I always forget to mention about the picture during the presentation, and I always get the question on the picture in every webinar. So it's absolutely up to us. So there are a lot of people talking about pictures in the resume. Should we put a picture? Should we not put a picture? It's so wrong to put a picture. It's so right to put a picture. It's unbelievable. Really, it's like two football teams facing each other. The reality is it's not that important. Nobody will throw away your CV because you put a picture. Nobody will hire you because you put in a picture. I like to place pictures because it gives a sense of personal. Sometimes in the United States, they prefer not to do that. But to me, it's absolutely, let's say, useless, this discussion, because if a recruiter likes you and likes your profile, the first thing that the recruiter will do is open up LinkedIn, looking up for you on LinkedIn. And guess what? We all have our pictures on LinkedIn. So to sum up, if not clearly stated, okay, go with whatever you feel more comfortable for. And again, it seems to be a big deal because everyone is talking about that, but in reality, it is not. The content of our CV is much more important than our picture, and if not, we put it. So be absolutely free and don't stress out with the picture. If you decide to include your picture, please let it be like a professional picture where you smile. You can absolutely smile, but just maybe in a professional outfit, or not a picture of you at the beach with a beer in your hand.
Okay, thank you. And finally, if we don't have any work experience, what can we write in the section of work in our resume?
Yes. So this is a very, again, very interesting question, super beneficial, because I believe that many fresh graduates are in this position. So we can do two things. First one, did you do any kind of internship? If you did, please take your time to think about everything that you have done in the company, everything that you have learned, everything that you contributed to achieve, and put that as experience, because that was a real experience. What if you don't even have an internship? And that actually was my case before my first full-time job. So what can you do? The thing that I did is I have done a lot of projects for some classes during the university. And I'm sure that many of you have like real world simulation projects. Okay. So I've looked for what the company asked. And I remember that I had like similar projects in my university career that I've done that was kind of similar to the requirements that the company had for the job. So I used this project and I included that, of course, saying that that was a project. It was not a real full-time job experience, but still there was a beginning, there was a project that was done, and there were some achievement at the end. In particular, there was a project about how to rethink a design of a warehouse to improve the fluxes and everything. It was a lean manufacturing project. And actually, that project got me the interview with Ferrari, which was, my first job. So do use your university projects and turn it and present those projects, saying that they were projects, but present them as if they were work experience. Because at the end of the day, they are super similar to what you would do in a real life, in a real world work and job. Okay, those were very interesting questions. Thank you, Mariam. I guess we are ready to jump to the final part of our webinar, and we're ready to talk about LinkedIn. Now, is it important, LinkedIn? Can we do without it? No, we cannot, and yes, it's very important. So let's see how we can master LinkedIn and which are the three main parts, I would say, of our LinkedIn profile that needs to be taken care of. So first, our header. Then we're going to talk about the skills section. And finally, we're going to see how we can leverage our network in order to be more successful and gain visibility in the platform. Okay, but before everything, I want to show you something. And it is, how can we find the right keywords? Now, keywords, if you think about it, keywords are not just important for our LinkedIn profile, but the keywords are essentials also for, let me drag this here, are essential also for our resume. So we want to be able to get and to understand which are the most required skills by any company. So do you remember, let me jump back here. So do you remember here in the procedure, okay? We want to understand what my audience wants. This could be, we want to understand which are the keywords important to my audience. So guess what? The same important keywords that we're going to use in our resume are the same keywords that we're going to use on LinkedIn. And how can we find those keywords? Very well, we can go to the company's website. We can go, let me show you. We can go to websites like, for example, Master's Job, for example. Okay. We can go to websites like monsters.com. We can go to websites like indeed.com. And here they have, let me show you Indeed, for example, petroleum engineer on indeed.com. So all of those, they have a lot of job openings for some specific job descriptions of some specific workers. Okay, so process engineer, factory engineer, production engineer, and so on. Okay, we are going to look for those job descriptions that are a good fit for us. We can also use LinkedIn to do that. We are going to take as many job descriptions as possible, okay, and we're going to study them and to see which are the requirements that are shared among multiple companies. We're going to see that there are some keywords, something that comes every time. So once we have found a skill, a certain experience, something that is required by multiple job experience, bam, that's a keyword. That's something that I know that if I'm going to put on my profile, that if I'm going to put it on my LinkedIn, that if I'm going to put it on my resume, it's going to catch the attention of the company because that is something that they are looking for. How can we do that? We can also use this trick. Beside reading all of the job descriptions, we can also do a big copy paste, okay, of all of the job descriptions that we have analyzed. I would like you, this is the homework that I'm giving you. I want you to go out there on LinkedIn, on Monster, on the company's websites, and I want you to download and to study at least 20 job descriptions of positions that might be a good fit for you. And I would like to see which are all of the skills that comes multiple times. Something that might help you. So we can select all. And if we want to skip the process a little bit, you could use some websites like Word Clouds, which is this one right here, Word Clouds. Okay, wordclouds.com. File, paste. Okay, and I have pasted here all of the job descriptions. Okay, I can click on apply, and what the website is doing for me, it is selecting all of and it's highlighting all of the most used words. Then we can go here to word list, and we can see how many times each word is repeated. Petroleum, of course. Then we can see, materials. So probably, if you have experience in materials, that's right, that you put that. There is some equipment. Here we would see like a lot of word, and a lot of words gets repeated multiple times. Okay, so we're going to study ourselves and going to read through all of the job descriptions. We're also going to leverage word clouds to have an instant feedback on which are the words that are most used. And by doing so, we will understand which are the most important keywords. And we want to make sure to include those keywords in our resume and in our LinkedIn profile. So let me show you. Let's take a look at some real world examples. Let me show you some header. And let me show you a well done LinkedIn profile. So let me see, we can go to Beatrix once. Okay, let me start with mine. Okay, so this is the header. This is a pretty good header. So essentially in the header, which is the part right here, you want to put all of your qualifications and also, why not, the name of the job that you would like to, the role that you would like to have. Like this, it's a set of keywords. Supply chain logistic lead at Baker Hughes, bam, space. Public speaker, bam, business storyteller, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's not describing, I'm not writing a description about myself. It's just keywords, and so on. So for example, if we take a look at Beatrix, she's a very, very important person in my organization. But you see, what does she do? Vice President HR, Human Capital Technology, Baker Hughes, Executive Coach. Bam, bam, bam. Super easy. Same thing. You can do the same thing. So for example, petroleum engineer student, passion for, field engineer, field work, specialized in bam, bam, bam. Okay, interested in this and that. Super easy, just keywords. Then we want to go to the about section. This is where you can write your story. You want to insert as many keywords as possible, but here you can go long. It's the only place where you can actually write more about yourself, because people will just look at your probably first 2 lines, and then it's very unlikely that they're going to keep on reading. But if you have a well-done description, a compelling story, good keywords, the algorithm of LinkedIn will look for keywords also in your about section. And this is a pretty interesting part. How do recruiter look for people on LinkedIn? The recruiter page of LinkedIn looks different than ours. So they would put the job position, they would put and they would insert some requirements. It would be like sort of a refined Google search or Facebook search. And then they click insert, and LinkedIn will give them a list of profile that match their requirement. Now, as in Google, when you Google something, you want to be, so if I Google pizza near me, okay, you want to be in the first page, okay, because I'm probably gonna click on some of this just because it's near me. Why? Because Google gave it to me first. So the same thing, we want our profile to appear first on LinkedIn. How can we do that? With a good match of keywords. That's why having a precise keywords in the header, in the about section, and in the skills, section, which is down here, okay, is very, very, very important. And again, skills, which are the skills that you should choose? Your job description will tell you which are the skills that you want to include and that you would need to include. The ones that are more required here. Okay, so good header, just with keywords, what you do, what you want to do, what skills do you have. About section, you can go there and write as much as you want. My about section is very little, just because I'm not looking for work, so I don't need to pop up first in any recruiter search. And then the body, the experience. This is something that you will build with time. Again, very important. Keywords are very, very important here as well. But the skills section, especially for fresh graduate, it's another key point. Then, what else do we need to? What else do we need to take to pay attention to? We would need. Let me go back to full screen. Okay, our network. Now, network is very important. Why? Because LinkedIn, unfortunately or fortunately, is a social network. So it abides to all of the rules of every social network. So when someone is looking for something, when the recruiter is looking for a certain person that has certain skills, let's assume that you have two people, equal skills, and they are both a perfect match to that job. Once the recruiter click enter and LinkedIn provides the recruiter with a list of people, even though these two people are absolutely identical in terms of skills, the one who has more connection, the one who is more active on LinkedIn will pop up first rather than the one who's less active, because LinkedIn will value you more if you're active and if you use the platform. That's why, for example, I constantly get it happens to me, once a week at least, that I get contacted by hiring manager, proposing me some job. Why? Not because of my, there are a lot of people that have my same resume and my same experience, but I am much more active than them on LinkedIn. I do my content, I share content, I have a good network. And that's something that I would like you to start growing and start cultivating right now, because it takes some time, to be effective. So how can you network on LinkedIn? Endorse someone's skill. That's very important. You guys are here. We're going to use our Facebook group also to do this, to connect with each other. And since you guys know each other, you can endorse each other's skills. This is important because it will boost up the skills and the visibility of the people that you have endorsed, but also it will boost up yours because you were active on the platform. So that's very, very, very important. That's an exercise that we can do all together. Then, very, very effective, you can share content. You can share posts and videos, something that, you are, for example, a petroleum engineer. Perfect. Just spend a little bit of time once every 2 days on YouTube, maybe, or on LinkedIn, and look for some videos that can be interesting about, petroleum engineer, about the work that you would like to do, and just share it with your network on LinkedIn. Engage with someone else's posts. Produce your own content if you want. You don't have to start making videos like I'm doing, but you can create your own articles. You can share some of your, for example, if you had some interesting projects during your university, maybe you want to share that. You want to share the results. You want to share like a little PowerPoint presentation on that. Share, engage, find new content, and finally, use LinkedIn groups. There are a lot of groups, job hunting groups, so that you can learn from others. You can connect to people, of course. You can connect to people that are in the same group. So probably you share something and some interest. And probably also you could leverage each other network, because if I'm a petroleum engineer and I connect with someone else who has a bigger network than me, and the other person happens to be as well a petroleum engineer, chances are that his network is going to be very compatible to my content. So I can also extend my connections even more. So please, if you need to take away just one thing from this last part of our presentation, do use LinkedIn. Share, engage with content, share content, and connect with people that are similar to you. And also, you can connect to people in the companies that you are applying for. And this is the final piece of information that I would like to give you today, very important. If you know the company or companies that you are applying for and the kind of jobs that you would like to do, add people that are in those positions in those companies and just shoot them a short message, pretty positive message. Hi, I stumbled into your profile. I came across your profile. It looks very interesting what you do and the company that you're working for. I'm a fresh graduate. If you don't mind, I would like to connect with you and to ask you a couple of questions, because I would like to start a career similar to yours. And believe me, you will be surprised by how many people will be willing to dedicate 2, 4, 5 minutes to chat with you and to give their insight on the company. And this is a super powerful tool that you can use also to understand which are the skills, the experience that the company value. And it will help us a lot once we will have to get ready for the job interview. So quick sum up, and we are going to be done for today. So resume, which are the 4 principles? It gotta be short, gotta be clear, gotta have numerical numbers, and it has to be understandable by non-technical people. LinkedIn, focus on our header, on our skills, endorse each other's skills, extend your network, share content, use groups, and connect with people in the sector and in the industry that you would like to have a job in. Perfect. Please, if you do have other questions, please feel free to ask. So is it all over? Are we done? Is it
Okay, thank
is it
you.
all?
We have
Almost. So yeah, if you it's almost it's not over, because if you have any other question, YouTube live videos, you can connect with me on my YouTube channel, which is Tales of Startup. And finally, the Facebook group. As I said, we can connect here, we can ask questions, we can learn from each other's experience, and this is something that will be very valuable to all of us. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. And I have shared Facebook group, YouTube channel, and my LinkedIn profile in the chat if you would like to stay connected. Probably in YouTube, these will be like in the description. So thank you very much. If you have any other question, I'm here.
Okay, thank you for this informative webinar. We have actually 2 questions. The first one is that between education, internships, and volunteering experience, what should be the appropriate order to list them?
Education, internship, and volunteering experience. Very nice. Yes. So in general, as a general rule, I always love to have work experience first, then education, and then volunteering. We could also, especially if we're talking about fresh graduates, we can put together internship and volunteering. So let me show you an example real quick. So for example, here, okay. So what we have done with Nesrin, we have placed the internship first. Why? Because if you have enough internship experience and enough experience to, to fill at least a couple of 3, 4, 5 bullet points, I would like your work experience to be first, because this is what companies are interested in. What is the work and the job that you can do? So I would definitely advise to put this first, but at the same time, this is a kind of volunteering experience. So SPE association, multimedia section. So what we did, and that's something that you all can do, you can put your volunteering experience here in the experience and activities section. And very important, besides saying what you were doing, okay, I would love you to put some skills that you have learned thanks to that volunteering experience. So for example, if your volunteering was like, crowdfunding for some charity, okay, the skills that you have learned for sure is interacting with people, public speaking, emotional connection with people. So you're probably good with interpersonal skills. So please put your volunteering experience and the skills that you gained thanks to that experience. So that's what I would do. So if you have enough experience, work always before education.
Okay, thank you. And finally, if we write that we have done a volunteering work in our resume, is there any need to attach any certificate?
Okay, interesting. Another interesting question. No, you don't need to attach. You don't need to attach anything on your resume. But what you could do is this. Let's face the truth. 90% of the time, no one will print your resume at the beginning. It's gonna be a PowerPoint, a PDF document that people will look at. So what you can do is, under your volunteering experience, you can hyperlink a connection to your, for example, to your LinkedIn profile, where you have uploaded, and let me show you right here in this section, featured. Okay, you can upload your documents. Okay, so you can hyperlink the certificate on your LinkedIn. So I wouldn't attach the document because we just want one page, but for sure we can hyperlink things. You could even create your own one-page resume online and hyperlink all of the certification there. That's something that I've seen people doing, and I think it's super, super interesting and very original. I hope that helps.
Okay, great. Thank you again for this informative webinar. And as a reminder, this session has been recorded and it will be uploaded soon on Petra's YouTube channel. So you may rewatch it, and it's part of the English enhancement class. And don't forget to subscribe to Tales of Startup YouTube channel for more videos regarding resumes and cover letters. So that's all for today. Stay safe and see you in future webinars. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Guys, stay safe. Thank you.